ሰላም ውድ የዩቲዩብ ቻናል ተከታታዮች እንዴት ናችሁ? ዛሬ ለየት ባለ ቪዲዮ ነው የተመለስነው። እንትን ነው ዛሬ ደግሞ ማሳያችሁ በጣም የሚገርም የፑል ጌም ነው ሪያክት የምናደርገው። ኤፍሬን ሬይዝ ይባላል ሰውየው። ከ6 ዓመት በፊት የሚታወቅ ሰውዬ ነው እና በጣም ያስደምማችኋል። ፑል ጨዋታው በጣም ነው የሚያስደምመው እና እሱን ነው የምንመለከተው ዛሬ። ያው የአንድ ሰዓት ከምናምን ቪዲዮ ነው ግን ያው እያሳለፍን የተወሰነ ጌሞችን እናያለን። አብራችሁን ቆዩ። ከዝግጅቱ ጋር እንግዲህ አቤልኝ አብራችሁ ቆያለሁ።
Matches 2 out of 3 sets with a race to 8 in each set. Cue ball fouls only, resulting in ball in hand anywhere on the table. You must call every ball in every pocket if it's not obvious. The winning player, has the option to break or have his opponent break. If you make a ball on the break, it's considered an open table and you have a choice of either solids or stripes. You can play caroms and combinations, but you must hit a ball from your group first. The 8 ball is not a neutral ball and you cannot strike it first. Are there any questions? Gentlemen, leg for break.
የቀረበ ቀድሞ ለስፖንደው ይጀምራል ማለት ነው። የምታቁታቁታላችሁ።
Mr. Reyes wins the leg.
It's the biggest night in pool history.
አይሰማም ፍሪኩ ባይገርማችሁ ማለት ነው። አሁን እንደውም አርጅቷል። የተወሰኑ አሉ በሌላ ቪዲዮ ሰራላችኋል። ካረጀ በኋላ ራሱ ችሎታው የማይቀየር ሰው ነው።
To claim 2 out of 3 sets. Efren Reyes went through 2 days of competition in dramatic style, surviving to get the first crack at the King of the Hill.
He makes the ball in the break, and he has his choice: solids or stripes.
ምናልባት ያው ሊሰጥ ይችላል። ለኔ ቆይቻለሁ ካየሁት ቪዲዮ ነው እንዳጋጣሚ ነው ስራላችሁ ብያስብ፣ ግን የማታስቡትን አይነት ኳስ ነው የሚያገባው። ፕላስ ደግሞ ሴታፕ ሲደመር ቶ ብቻ አብረን ነው ውስጥ
It's 8 ball. Once he chooses the group, he then has to clear the table of all those balls and then shoot the 8 ball to win the game.
Right here, the strike balls are in a bad position, or there's two strike balls that are together
there.
So I think he's going to go for the low balls right here, starting with 1 ball here.
1 ball in the corner.
Lori John, talk a little bit about some of the nuances for the uninitiated between 9 ball and 8 ball. If you boil it down, a lot of the players at this event have said what 9 ball is to checkers, 8 ball is to chess. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. 8 ball is there's no luck involved in 8 ball, and you have to run out in 8 ball. And if you run out, and if you
ጽድት በቃ ምንም አይነት ስተት ራሱ ላጭበርብር ብትል ራሱ አታጭበርብር። አዳም
get that position on the last ball or something, you're finished. There is no getting it back in 8 ball.
Now, Efren is a Hall of Famer, and the reason he is here is the 42 best players in the world, including all the Hall of Famers, played round-robin matches for the last 4 days. And of all of those players, the best 42 players in the world, Efren came out on top.
By the way, tournament እስከ የተወሰነ ጌም ሴት ይደረግላቸዋል። ነምበር ኦፍ ጌምስ ማለት ነው እና 12 ከሆነ ቀድሞ 12 ጌም ያሸነፈ ተብሎ ነው ፕራይዙ እና $200,000 ነበር ያኔ። አስቡት። እኛ ሀገር እንግዲህ ስናመጣው ይሄንን ህግ እንግዲህ ስንት የሚችል ሰው አለ። ግን ቶርናመንት ለማዘጋጀት ለነገሩ ተፍተፍ እያሉ ነው እየተወሰነ ወደ ገርጂ አካባቢ አይቻሉ ፖስተሮች ምናምን ነገር ግን ሞር ቢበረታታ አሪፍ ነው እያስባለሁ። ለፈለፍታት
And that's why he's facing Mike Siegel. And now this is a huge match. It's the match really of the century. It's the match that everyone in pool around the world have been dying to see. Half the people in the world think Efren Reyes is the greatest player who's ever lived. The other half think Mike Siegel is the greatest player that's ever lived.
5 in the corner.
Efren Reyes absolutely can do things that I don't think I've ever seen before. It's a great
That was
shot.
unbelievable. They had to play it off that ball. They call that a carom shot.
Exactly. And the average person probably wouldn't have done that.
ጭራሽ
Certainly not on purpose. Oh, and he couldn't get it to drop into the corner, so we'll see the king for the first time.
Unbelievable. Lori, what happened here? Was this nerves? I mean, this was not a...
I'm thinking it's just nerves right now.
ምናልባት
You know what? He jumped up on the shot there. It's definite nerves.
There it is again. Now, it's important that people at home know we're playing on very traditional equipment. The pocket size on these tables are like it was 30, 40 years ago when Fats and Moscone were playing. They're only 4.5 inches maximum. A lot of the tournaments people see on television today, the pockets are 5 or even 5.5 inches. And Efren would have made that on that easier equipment. This is traditional
14 ball.
and that's one of the reasons he missed that ball.
Absolutely. I mean, it hit inside the pocket, if you noticed, but he just didn't hit it in the middle of the pocket.
It's a tough shot for Siegel. Watch this.
What
Oh,
a good try. He tried to break those two balls
ያስጨበጨቡ ገና ፈርስት ሻት ያን ሁሉ አግብቶ ያስወጣል።
up right.
what? It's a tough
Hit
and that's one of the
ጂኒ
reasons he missed
ፍቅሳት
that ball.
እንግዲህ አስቡ ጂና ገባ ተብሎ
I mean, it hit
ይቻላል።
inside the pocket, if you noticed, but he just didn't hit it in the middle. Tried to break those two balls up right there. That was a fabulous try.
Almost did it.
That's the kind of skill that the pedestrian pool hall player and the guy that plays in the fraternity house and the firehouse is not going to be able to master in a couple of days.
Exactly. There's a lot of people at home right now who would say, gosh, I could have made that 3 ball. But again, tight pockets and the pressure are going to get to the players.
Now you played, Mike, in this arena. Let's see what he does here. And I want you to tell us about the pressure that these players are facing. John.
And Mike tanks one.
That's the pressure right there.
Boy, a couple of Hall of Famers with an early case of the year.
ኤግዛክትሊ እሱ ያጋጠመው ማለት ነው። ይሄ ትራዲሽናል ፑል ቴብል ነው እና እንትን ይላሉ የተወሰነ እያንዳንዱ ሜዠርመንት እንዳለው ሁላ ይሄ ትራዲሽናል ስለሆነ ጎሎቹ ጠበብ ያሉ ናቸው እና በዛ ኬዝም ስለሆነ ነው የፈርስት ሻት እሱ ራሱ የሳተው ኤፍሬን ማለት ነው እና ደሴ ማጋጠመው አያቸው ካርማ
Yips.
Now here's
ይሄ እንደውም ጭራሽ አላገኘውም እንደውም ጭራሽ ያኮ ላይ ተግሞጥሞጦ ነው የተፋለት ራሱን
The ball in the corner.
ዜሮ ስፖንድ ራሱ
He jabbed a little bit at it. He just didn't have a nice stroke on it.
This is once again not to understate the importance and the significance of this. It's the largest prize pool in the history of the game. And as highly decorated and skilled as these players are, anybody's going to feel a little bit of the heat in a situation like this.
The first 2 racks, you're going to see a little bit of the jitters. Once they get over that, the match is going to go fast.
Well, I remember you, Lord John, in your match against Mike Siegel in the first ever IPT event, saying that you were as tight as a drum through the almost first full game.
Probably for the whole match.
Game.
So Reyes with his second break. And this time nothing drops. So an open table for the king.
Now Mike Siegel was voted the greatest living player in the world by Billiards Digest magazine.
Mike,
የሆነ ጀለሳለች ምትችል እሷ ብትሆነው እንደዚህ አይነት ኳስ ያገባች ማይ ኔም ኢዝ ሮቤሮ ትላችሁ
could be playing to an argued disadvantage in that as the king, he hasn't had to go through the field. He doesn't necessarily have a quote-unquote tournament stroke right now because all of his racks have been practice racks, whereas Efren has had 2 full days of competition.
Absolutely. You know, even though he's played on this table and practiced on this table all week, there is nothing like being under the pressure. You have to be under the pressure.
If you have an option, Lori John, would you rather be the king and have?
You have to be under the pressure.
If you have an option, Lori John, would you rather be the king and have people coming at you fresh, or would you rather be out there playing in the field to have your stroke down?
I'd have to say playing in the field, get my jitters out in the beginning, and come on and play that final.
Now, I talked to Efren earlier in the practice room. He had just flown in from Japan for this tournament. And
ፊሊፒናዊ ነው ደግሞ ባይዘው ሰውየው ፊቱ ራሱ ያስታውቃል ብዬ አስባለሁ። not to be stereotypic.
He played, 2 full 12-hour days, 5 matches each day, 2 days in a row. And I asked him how he was feeling, and he said tired. He said he only slept 4 hours last night. He couldn't sleep.
What?
He said he was, excited for the tournament, but also the jet lag and the fact that he's been on his feet playing for, 12 hours, 2 days in a row. He's tired. Mike is fresh, but of course that could mean he's, maybe not in stroke.
Both, you know what? There's a disadvantage in both in that spot, because when you are in the finals, it is hard to sleep. I can definitely attest to that. You can't go to sleep, the night before, and you wind up getting only.
አይታችሁታል ግን ያገር ሰው ነው ደቅ ብሎ እንደ ቶርናመንት የሚያያቸው የሚገርም ስፖርት እኮ ነው። እናመጣው ጥሩ ይመስለኛል። የምታዩት ሰዎች ካላችሁ እንደዚህ አይነት ነገር ተባብረን ብናዘጋጅ ደስ ይለኛል።
4 hours sleep. Mike is Mike's chosen the low balls. The only thing Mike has to worry about is the 11 ball and that 8 ball are frozen together.
And again, for the
ለማታውቁት ደግሞ የምታገቡበትን ቦታ እየተናገራችሁ ነው መግባት ያለባችሁ። ሳይድ ብላችሁ ሌላ ቦታ ፖኬት ቢገባ ማለት ነው ኔክስት ተርን ነው ኤፍሬም።
uninitiated, it's not just a question of. And again, for the uninitiated, it's not just a question of one shot at a time. When you play at this level, players like Siegel and Reyes are constantly thinking about the next shot.
Absolutely. You just heard Mike. Mike just made a comment after he made the 2 ball. He said, I should have hit them after the 2 ball. That was stupid. I mean, that's what he just said. And he wanted to break out that 8 ball right then.
5 ball. Now, where does he want to lead the cue ball after this?
He's going to shoot the 1 ball next. Or possibly the 3 ball and break them up now and then the 1 ball.
Exactly as you described, yeah.
That's the problem with 8 ball. People don't understand. 9 ball is dictated 1 through 9. There is no choice on which to play.
9 ball ላይ በረካቱ ራሱ 9 ቁጥር ከገባች አሸናፊ ነው ተባለ። በጣም ያስጠላል እና በተራ በቁጥሮቹ ከ1 እስከ 9 ነው። ቦት ይችላልላችሁ እድልም ቢሆን ኖርማል ነው። 8 ball ግን ይለያል። የችሎታ ጨዋታ ነው እንዳለ ማለት።
But in 8 ball, when you come down to 2 balls being tied up, you've got to break those out in the beginning. Because if you wait until right now he's in a tough spot.
Well, he's talking about banking 8.
Yes.
He's figuring he's going to clear his last 2 balls. He's figuring he has to bank the 8 to win.
So he'll play the 1 ball. Come down for the 3 ball.
Leaves himself in a great position as well.
And what he's talking about there, we try to break them up, but there's no guarantee that he's going to get a shot on the 8 ball. There's 14 balls in the corner and 13 balls in the corner. So he's choosing the right shot.
Now he's going to go for a tough shot.
Last pocket ሲሆን የመጨረሻው ኳሳችን ያገባችው በጆርዳን ያው እሱ በሁለቱ ተጫዋቾች ስም ነው።
You can make this 10 times in a row or miss them 10 times in a row
to tie the set.
በሌሌፍ ነው የሚፈልገው።
Nope.
Oh, he missed.
Nope.
Goes long.
ከባድ ነው 12 ራሱ አለው።
Wow.
Here it is.
That's just a miss. Can't.
What's he referring to? He says it goes long every time.
Well, that time he
አሁን ከዚህ ከጨረሰው ይሄ ሰውዬ ማለት ነው ምንም ባረግ ቤስት ፕሌየር
Not go long. He actually went short.
እቺ ኳስ አሁን እዚህኛው ሳይድ ብሎ ተናግሮ እዛኛው ገብታ ቢሆን ተሸናፊ ተብሎ ነው የሚቆጠረው። ቅድም ያልኳችሁ አይነት ስታፍ ማለት ነው ኦሬዲ ስለተናገረ።
If he wanted to go long on the bank shot.
Well, I think what he was saying is because he was practicing on this table earlier, it was going long every single time.
Every time.
So he was assuming it was going to go long, and all of a sudden it was going to go short.
And that's something that we talked about before, Kevin, was practicing in the morning before the people enter, before the camera lights are on, changes the table.
Effort could go up to 0 here.
Well, Mike Siegel was an 8-ball away from tying up this first set at 1 game apiece. He's left a rather full schedule of balls for efren Reyes. But as we've seen too many times in this series, Reyes only needs one opportunity so often.
Nice shot. ይጨርሰዋል ይመስለኛል። ጨዋታ የሚጨርሰው ይመስለኛል። በትኑን የሰጠው ሲጀመር
And the king is hoping he didn't leave a wide open table.
14.
1 foot on the ground, makes a difficult shot.
See, now that was very bad position there, Matt. He came up very short on that shot, to where now this is, instead of being an easy shot, it's just a little bit more difficult.
Nice.
Making it look easy, however.
He's known as the magician because when he does get out of position, he comes with these incredible shots.
He makes anything. He makes impossible shots.
Exactly. The magician of
I've seen him do things that you can't do.
Right in the corner.
Boy, efren Reyes began this with all 7 of his strike balls on the table. Mike Siegel again just the 8-ball away from tying up the set at 1 game apiece. Instead, he's looking at the very real possibility of falling behind the magician 2 games to none.
8-ball on the side. And Efren is going to keep the break. And not watch him. He's going to keep break run 5 or 6. Game 2.
Does make a huge difference.
ከምናምን ነው እንደነገርኳችሁ አባሪ እናንተ ገብታችሁ ታዩት ትዝናኑበታላችሁ ብዬ አስባለሁ። በሌላ ቪዲዮ እስከምንገናኝ ድረስ እንግዲህ ላይክ፣ ሼር፣ ኮሜንት፣ ሰብስክራይብ ማድረግ እንዳትረሱ። በተለይ ሼር አድርጉት። ይሄን ቪዲዮ ገና ያው ጀማሪ ዩቲዩበር ነኝ። ሼር አድርጉት። ሌላ ቪዲዮ እሰራለሁ። መጥፋቴን አቆማለሁ ከዚህ በኋላ እንግዲህ ያው ትንሽ የኔትወርክ ችግር ገጥሞኝ ነው። በሌላ ቪዲዮ እንገናኛለን በቅርቡ ማለት ነው። አሁን በየ2 ቀኑ ወይ በየ3 ቀኑ ነው ለቅ ያሰብኩት ቪዲዮ እንግዲህ ከፈጣሪ ጋር እንገናኛለን። መልካም ጊዜ